today I'm going to be speaking on the importance of successful language acquisition for deaf and hard of hearing children. And while this topic seems like common sense, for the growing deaf and hard of hearing community, they share a common thread of not having sufficient language access growing up, either signed or spoken. This is a detriment to the success of effective language acquisition. How the hearing-centric world pushed oralist methods and spoken languages, as well as the misconceptions associated with the use of teaching both spoken and sign language simultaneously. The biggest argument against this practice is that with the use of sign language, a deaf and hard of hearing child will never be able to use spoken language effectively. So imagine this. Growing up in a silent world where your family either never teaches you proper language or even how to communicate for yourself. Imagine sitting down to dinner, being able to see all your family members' mouths moving, but not possessing the ability to involve yourself in the conversation, much less follow it. 90% of deaf children are born into hearing parents who don't know ASL or have never met a deaf person before. This information is found from Boston University. They also state that 70% of deaf children are language deprived. For most deaf children, access to a signed language fulfills this vital need, since unhindered access to a spoken language is not possible. According to the SAGE journals, most children's language acquisition begins at birth and is crucial in the development of a child up to the age of 5. And after that, those linguistic skills are vital to their livelihood. So why does insufficient language access result this way? As previously stated, acquiring language is of the utmost importance from birth to the age of 5. When a deaf and hard of hearing child is born to a hearing family who has never previously experienced this culture shift, they are met with doctors and audiologists who push a spoken language modality due to a lack of knowledge of the deaf community. Because as hearing individuals, we often take our ability to hear for granted. This results in the pressure of obtaining hearing devices such as cochlear implants, which mimic real hearing. A cochlear implant raises many issues in the deaf community. 3 of these major issues are the fixing of deaf children, giving a false sense of hope to hearing parents, and forcing a choice of culture upon a deaf child. These devices have low success rates and are incredibly expensive and die after 15 years. Often this is a choice hearing parents make on behalf of their deaf and hard of hearing children and force them to undergo a serious surgery without proof of success. It will never be able to be removed. The child will now have a piece of metal in their brain forever, meaning they cannot partake in swimming out of fear of damaging the technology. They also cannot undergo an MRI due to this. In this culture of the hearing world, this is the best alternative in the parents' minds to make their child fit into a hearing box. This device will never make the child hearing, but these devices specifically stimulate the auditory nerve within the individual's inner ear to enhance reception and interpretation of sound and other auditory stimuli. Many deaf individuals feel that parents should not choose this for their child to receive a cochlear implant, as infants do not have a say in the choice of the matter. While the idea of using a cochlear implant may be appealing and thought to be a benefit for a child, it could potentially be detrimental to the child's sensory processing system. And the child will still need to undergo years of intense speech therapy and will inevitably become frustrated and burnt out with having to try so hard all the time. Information on how the cochlear implant works can be found on the Mayo Clinic website if you need more information. So why not meet the child on their own terms? Considering the fact of how vital early language development is, why would parents not take the easiest route? As the Hearing Journal puts it, auditory and spoken language only approaches that reject early immersion use of the signed languages do not promote ideal developmental outcomes of deaf children. While some professionals may suggest a sign language can be learned later in life if spoken language outcomes are not achieved, the effects of language deprivation cannot be entirely remedied by the later use of a signed language. Considering this is a common trend in the deaf community's upbringing, it raises some question as to why this would take place. It truly boils down to a lack of knowledge of the deaf community. There is only one way to fix this. Before you think I'm just blowing smoke, I'd like you to go on YouTube and watch the short Oscar-winning documentary called The Silent Child. The actress who plays the teacher is also the writer of the script. Her father was profoundly deaf, and she fell in love with the deaf community and saw their unnecessary struggles. In an interview, she states, "A lot of these struggles are born from a lack of education. A lot of people, hearing people, not knowing how to deal with this. That's why access to communication and even language is a challenge." I truly hope you will take the time to watch this film. It is heartbreaking, but it depicts the true struggles that so many deaf children face. Today, I want to make you aware of an organization that is truly after my own heart. The American Society for Deaf Children's mission is to bring families together through the use of sign language. They offer classes, educational information, and a new perspective parents in this situation for the first time don't even know exists. I strongly encourage that you do. If you're able to donate to them, I strongly encourage that you do. Your contribution is an advocacy. It could mean the success of a child's future and security in their familial relationships. Please help a child gain access to proper language and help their families gain the knowledge necessary for raising a deaf and hard of hearing child. Thank you for your time. Ooh, I forgot to show my audience. Hold on. You guys. That's them. All right. Thanks.